Hey everybody, and welcome back to Starting Out Solitary. My name is Matt, or my magical name is Raven. This week I'd like to discuss using magic through emotional distress. Now, some people will not use magic during emotional distress in fear that their emotions may interfere or may hinder their spell work or their magic that they project outwards. There is no right or wrong rules for using magic during emotional distress, and therefore you can if you want to. It's one of those things, just because you're going through a tough time does not mean that you can't use magic. As my teacher Crimson Fire always says, when the going gets tough, the witch gets going. So if we choose to, we can still manifest and use various types of magic during these times. And myself, I do use magic during these times because I co-create with the universe all the time. And part of my spell work is changing my internal dialogue or my internal battle that I may be going through during a tough time such as anxiety or depression. There's usually about 4 ways that I use magic when I'm going through emotional distress. A majority of it's very internal. So being a practitioner of voodoo, I either use prayers or petitions to gods or deities in order to try to change something that's blocking me or causing me stress in my life, or causing me anxiety, or making me feel down at that particular time. And some of these are just simple candle spells where I would carve into the candle or write onto the glass jar of the Novena candle, which is the 7-day vigil candle, and then light it. Before lighting it, anointing it with some oil and putting my intention into there. This is just like the Christians would do their prayers when they're going through a tough time, in order to either remove the obstacle or to help change something that's external that's affecting the internal. Now, when I'm trying to heal my internal self, I'll use healing spells. So one of the healing spells that I do use quite regularly when I'm going through an emotional time would be a healing bath spell. So I would firstly run the bath, either use essential oils or herbs, place them in the bath as well, and sit in there. Once in the bath, I'll visualize all the water washing over me, and I would scoop it up with my hands and put it over my body and wash it away slowly. And then once I'm done, or once I feel that I'm ready to hop out, I will pull the plug and imagine all the water running down that drain, taking away all those issues with it. Another way that I use magic is through divination. So when I'm going through a really stressful time and I don't have the energy to do any spell work, I'll use my tarot. And I will look at the tarot and see what the universe has to tell me about the situation that I'm going through at the time. So if I'm going through a breakup or a really rough relationship, I will look at the tarot and see what messages on the universal level that mirror me in a way, and just examine that and sit with it for a bit. And then I will go through my inner temple and then examine that as well. See where there may be struggles or barriers with me dealing with the internal stuff. Another divination method that I do use is coffee grinds. So sometimes we don't have that time to sit there and read the tarot, or maybe too confronting, or some people don't read tarot. So I'll use this. So I'll simply just sit there and drink my coffee, because coffee always makes me feel better. The next sort of method that I use is creativity. I find that when I'm releasing a lot of my stress and anxieties, fears and depression or depressive emotions through creativity, they get expelled. Last night I was feeling a little bit, I don't know, a little bit squashed in a way. It's the best way to say it. I felt like I've been squashed in a vice. I'm also quitting smoking. So I decided to create something. It's almost like a talisman or a spirit fetch, which I'll use once I do feel better. So there's no restrictions. You can start by simply creating something that you'll use later to add that extra boost of energy when you do have it. And this is what I created. So I created a spirit doll. And as I'm creating, I felt all those feelings, all that stress, all that anxiety just release through it. And I felt sort of like that magic within me flow out. It was really incredible. Lastly, one of the ways that I got through a really bad breakup a couple of years ago, going through a really distressing time because it was a really serious relationship, was getting out into the earth and just releasing those emotions into the earth, digging into the ground, burning clippings that had been cut away for the winter, because we have quite a big block of land where I'm on, and we have a fair few trees, and during that autumn period we'll cut them back because they do grow out quite big, and we'll just cut the trees back and take all the wood. And I spent a lot of time just taking that anger and just sawing the hell out of that wood, axing the wood, burning it, releasing, and that's a magical practice that we can use. Another way that I did it was just digging in the ground, digging, getting all that anger out, and then using my intention to plant a garden. Now, the garden was to manifest all the things that I wanted. But to get that garden, I had to really dig into the dirt, and it's clay soil, so I had to really get in there with a shovel and really dig. And I found that it really helped me during that period. So whether it's a bath, which I like, or sitting by the sea and letting the waves wash over you and taking away all that, there's multiple ways that we can still use magic, even though that we may feel that we can't because we're going through a tough time, or someone says that we can't because we can't use magic during certain times, whether that's during emotional distress or illness. There's always a way that we can work our magic into our lives. And it may be just working on the internal. It may be making a dish and using kitchen magic to really imbue that stew or whatever it is with love and positivity, and ingesting it, using ingestion magic. There's a multitude of ways that we can still use magic, maybe more on the internal level than the external. But I'm a firm believer that we can still do magical workings through times of emotional distress. I'll see you next time, and for now, blessed be.